Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to do an update on our first generation homestead after our first year. So we have a lot going on right now with chickens, and we have pigs coming in this weekend and next weekend. Jacob's got chicks in our basement and a brooder for his 4-H chick chain project, so we're going to visit those. Gabrielle is up in the garden doing some planting. We just planted our fruit bushes, and we have fruit trees that also came in today. So let's go ahead and start by taking a look at Jacob's 4-H chicks, then we'll take a spin up to the field, spend some time with the layers and the Orpingtons. I'll show you what's going on with the infrastructure that we have for the pigs. I also want to do an update on the barn rainwater collection system that we set up like 2 weeks ago. A lot of people have been asking about that, so we'll do a really quick update there. But before we jump into that, I really do want to thank everybody who has subscribed to our channel. It really does mean the world to us. I can't believe we're almost at 500 subscribers now. And if you watch this video and you want to see our homestead grow, please hit that like button. We really do appreciate it. And we really have a lot of work to do, so let's just jump right in. All right, so our first stop on the tour is going to be Jacob's 4-H chick chain chicks he's got in here in the basement in a brooder. He's had these here for about a week and they're all doing really well. Now, if you don't know what the 4-H chick chain is, it's a program that 4-H does with the kids. And we buy 15 pullets, and Jacob is responsible for taking care of these pullets all on his own, so he's solely responsible for them. He's got to feed them, water them, and he also has to keep a log of everything that happens to them on a daily basis, good or bad. And he also has to take a log of all the expenses that go into raising these chicks. So right now it's the first week of March, and in August he has to select 3 hens. He has to bring those hens to a 4-H auction, and then out of those 3 hens they choose the one that is the nicest and they auction that one off. Now Jacob actually gets the proceeds from that auction, and he also gets to keep all the remainder pullets. So we'll be integrating these into our flock up to the barn until they're about 24 weeks, and then they will be processed as well. I think actually Jacob might want to keep 1 or 2, so we'll probably tag one along the way. But it's a real cool program to show the kids exactly how much time and energy and work it actually takes to go into raising, chickens for food. So these chickens are doing really well. Jacob's doing a phenomenal job of taking care of them. And I think what we're going to do now is go pay a visit to our egg layers. So our hens have been doing really good, and they're very happy to be out here. It's finally spring. They're out here on the pasture pecking and scratching at the grass and the bugs, so pretty happy there. Obviously we have one girl that looks a little bit broody, and we might want to keep an eye on her and have to break her of that a little bit later. And as you can notice, one chicken is missing, and that would be Cookie. Unfortunately, Cookie was getting a little bit aggressive and we weren't going to be utilizing him to breed, so we ended up sending him to a better home, to somebody that was actually going to breed him. Now, we have been talking a little bit about expanding our layer flock. I think I would like to get about 6 to 12 more layers on top of whatever eggs we're going to get from the Orpingtons. Maybe do some different colored eggs or some sort of a variety there, as the Orpingtons are going to be laying medium to large size brown eggs. The chicken tractors worked out really well. It's held up pretty good to the predator pressure that we've been having lately. We did end up putting an automatic door on it so they can get out as early as possible. As you can see on the left, there are 2 tubes. One is for water, the one that's a little bit higher and closest to us. The water that's in that tube will actually last them about a week, and the food that's in the far tube lasts them about 9 days. And it works out really well this way. That way, in case we need to leave town for a few days, they have all the food, the water that they need, and the door will open and close when they also need that. So they are pretty self-sufficient when we're gone, aside from being moved every day. But if we just are gone for a few days, it works out pretty well. Make a better door than a window. All right, so now that we've paid the hens a visit, let's go see the Orpingtons in the barn and see how they're doing. I think I know what these guys want. In it goes. So the Orpingtons are doing really well. They're about 16 weeks old today, actually. Now, we're going to be working on the shed a little bit later, and the material that we take off the shed for lumber and the roof panels are actually going to be upcycled into a tractor for Waylon and 8 hens, which will leave 21 birds in the barn for now. They're going to stay in the barn for the next 8 weeks. Then we'll be processing those, and Waylon and the 8 hens are what we're going to use to continue to expand our flock. Hey, Waylon. Waylon's always one of the first to come and greet me. So as you remember, last year we did a lot of work on this barn. It really worked out well for the Red Rangers that we had in here. The Orpingtons do seem to like it as well. It was all grass in here. We reseeded it, but they did a number on it this spring. They seem to like grass and be very much more active than the Red Rangers were. So 21 of them are going to be staying in this barn until 8 weeks from now, and then we'll be processing them. And as you can see, inside this barn has got plenty of open space for them to roam and be safe and get out of the weather if they need to. We do have one feeding trough over here. We do have a couple laying boxes that we had tried to breed the Red Rangers with last year, but this will all be going away. My plan is to be building one tractor for Waylon and his hens, and then go ahead and build at least 2 more tractors for all these succession breedings that we do with the Orpingtons. Then after that, we do have 25 of the Cornish Cross coming in late June. That way we can kind of fill a gap that we foresee in our future with the buff Orpingtons as far as meat is concerned. But we do really enjoy these Orpingtons. They are actually very personable, much different than the hens and way different than the meat birds that we had. So they always come up to greet us. Waylon over here is always the first one to come and say hi. He's a very nice little guy. But we're really happy with the buff Orpingtons. I mean, they couldn't be more of a personal breed. They're very nice, and they're going to grow pretty large. Orpingtons grow between 10 and 12 pounds fully grown, and these guys will lay between 200 and 250 eggs a year. So they're going to be a great dual purpose breed, and I think that they fit our homestead perfect. All right, so that's going to be it for the update on the Orpingtons. Now let's slide to the other end of our barn where we're going to be keeping the pigs, and I'll give you a short update on the rain barrel collection that we set up 2 weeks ago. All right, so I slid the UV cover off of this barrel enough so you can see that these barrels, this is the water line right here, if you can see that, of all these barrels. So we have 660 gallons of rainwater storage up here. This system has worked absolutely flawless. You might be able to see this one over here has a small leak, and so doesn't this one over here. Not dripping very fast. I'm not concerned about it. I'm super stoked to have all this water. We've already been using it for our chickens. Now this is where we're going to be keeping the pigs. We've cut this opening right here in the barn. I've kind of talked about this before. We're going to be running an electric fence over here. Now we're going to be using just the poly stakes and be running some poly wire into the ground. That way we can actually move these pigs around as we wish. So this weekend, we're actually picking up our boar. We bought a 275-pound boar. He's about 8 months old, I believe. And then next weekend, we're actually picking up our 3 gilts, which will be 8 weeks old. So they're just weaned. So the boar will be going in here, and we still need to find a spot for those gilts. So I think what we're going to do is use the same mobile system where we have a solar charge panel and we have poly stakes with the poly wire set up. We'll make a little shelter for those guys. We'll put them in for a while. We need to keep them away from the boar, at least until it's breeding time. So we're gonna stop right there with the animals. You now know the plan for the pigs, and I'll give you an update on the rainwater collection on our barn. As for the rainwater collection on our shed, I am going to be redoing the roof on that shed because last year the polycarbonate panels really did not weather very well at all for us. They tend to shrink and warp quite a bit. Some of them cracked, it was leaking everywhere. And there is stuff in that shed that I actually want to protect. So we're going to be expanding the square footage of that roof to, right now it's 8 by 16. We're going to be doing 12 by 16. That way we can collect a little bit more rainwater because last year we did run out of rainwater at the garden. We ended up having to hand carry all the water up from our house. I don't want to be doing that again. I would prefer to be able to fill up an IBC tote like the ones you see behind me, but when those are full, I can't lift those with the tractor. So being able to collect water right where we need it is absolutely essential to running this farm. So let's go ahead, let's take a ride over to the garden. we'll see Gabrielle and see what she's got planting.
I've been really busy in the garden getting all the spring planting done. So exciting that it's warming up. The strawberries are flowering, the asparagus is starting to come up, and the onions and garlic that we planted in the fall are doing really well. So I'm about to plant some more onions for a later harvest. A few weeks ago we planted some snap peas, and then I planted some lettuce in front of that. Over here we set up some trellising in an arch, and I planted some shelling peas at the base of both sides in these rows. So what I'm working on next is planting some beets, broccoli, and carrots. So if you want more details about what's going on in the garden, we're going to be doing a spring planting video coming up soon.
All right, so now that we met with Gabrielle, let's take a look at what we have going on for fruit. Over here we have the blueberry row, we have our blackberry row, and then right next to me we have our row of red raspberries. So we did a video on this, on how to do all the trellising and how to do the planting. We are going to be taking cuttings and expanding these rows a little bit later on. So we ran this trellis 48 feet, and right now we only have planted about 16 of each. So as you can see behind me, we actually have a really nice pasture all set up to plant fruit trees in. So this is nice and greening up right now with fescue grass, and we bought 3 to 4 foot apple, pear, cherry, and peach trees that we're going to be planting and making our very own fruit orchard. Fruit is something that we've really been missing on our homestead, and we're really looking forward to having that. That's gonna be it for this video, guys, but before I let you go, I wanna say a couple things. Homesteading is a lot of work, and I put a lot of pressure on myself and Gabrielle to get the homestead into the state that it's in today. Now, it's been a lot of work to get to where we are today. It's just the two of us doing absolutely everything, so we have no help. Where we're at today, I am very happy with. It's so nice to go into this year with the garden all set up instead of having to build the garden and plant at the same time. So this year is going by much smoother in my opinion, now that all we have to do is put the seeds in the ground. Regarding the infrastructure, we have the rainwater at the barn and the garden set up. We have solar at the garden set up because we have no water or electricity at the garden or at our barn. So we rely solely on off-grid technology to provide power and water. So both those systems are in place, and I think they're going to work out just well for us. Regarding cattle, at this point, I think cattle will probably be next year in our plans. We spent a lot of time this spring preparing for the garden, for the pigs, and doing rainwater collection and things that we felt were imminently important to the chickens and the pigs in our garden rather than bring in more livestock. We had a lot of work to do on the fence lines, and unfortunately I didn't get nearly as far as I wanted to cleaning out the fence lines. So we're going to keep chipping away at those. We're going to keep chipping away at the pastures, keep them mowed, keep the weeds down. We've been doing a lot of work as far as the pastures are concerned and the fence lines. So we're going to just keep it up and see where it takes us. But with all that being said, I'm pretty happy with exactly where we're at on our first year of homesteading. It's a lot of work, like I said before, but it is so worth it. It's so rewarding. So I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.